It's Psalm 23:4, and it says, "Even though I walk through the darkest valleys, I will fear no evil, for you're with me." And I think this Bible verse is very applicable to my life because I've definitely faced some trials, but knowing God is with me and that He has a plan for my life has helped me in so many ways. So I was born in Billings on January 22nd, 2003, and I have 4 siblings, 2 full brothers, Charlie and Caden, and 2 half-siblings, Chase and Amber. And these are my siblings. Both of those pictures were taken at my brother's graduation. And I also have a lot of family members who are like siblings to me. The 2 pictures on the right are my nieces, Haley, Avery, and Remy, who I live with now. The 2 pictures on the left are my cousins, Will and Grace, who I lived with for a little bit in Winnett. So I grew up in Winnett, Montana, which has a population of about 400 in the whole entire county. And I spent a lot of my childhood playing outside, hunting and fishing with my brothers, and playing sports. And I grew up on my family's ranch about 5 miles out of Winnett. And growing up on a ranch was a huge blessing, just being able to see God's creation all around me and being able to enjoy that. I started preschool in 2008 and with a class of 6, and during that year my parents divorced. But I was only 5, so I didn't really understand what was going on and stuff, so it didn't really affect me that greatly, which I'm thankful for. But in April of 2009, when I was 6, my mom passed away in a car accident, and growing up I really struggled with this, just not knowing why God would take away my mom from me and me not getting able to know her and her not being able to know her own kids. But I still can't answer this question as to why, but as I've grown older, I've came to terms with it, and I know that God has a plan for my life. And this is one of the things that shaped me to be who I am, and I definitely wouldn't be here in Churchill if this wouldn't have happened. And when I'm older, I strive to be like my mom. She was a very joyful person. She was a good Christian lady. And here's a few photos of my mom. She was a photographer and a clerk at the county courthouse. In 4th grade, I started playing basketball. And basketball is a big part of my family, so it wasn't really a question whether or not I'd play. My brother Charlie had a big impact on me in basketball, especially in high school. He was very dedicated to the sport and was very competitive, so he always pushed me to do my best, so I'm very thankful for that too. And growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents who lived across the creek from us on the ranch. And my childhood was pretty great, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. So in middle school, I did track, cross country, and basketball. My love for basketball really started growing when I was in junior high, and my 8th grade coach really sparked that for me. Her name's Cassie Lewis, and she's in all those pictures. She was a great coach and friend to me. During my 8th grade year, my grandpa passed away, and she helped me through that a lot. She helped me realize how important it is to have a good positive mindset, especially through the hard times. And I don't think I'd be the same person without her influence. I'm just very thankful for that relationship. But like I mentioned, my grandpa passed away during my 8th grade year, and this was the first hardship I went through that really led me to God. And this is when I started making it a habit to pray every day and read the Bible often. So that was something really important in my life, and I started to try to make the best out of the bad things in life. And I had a lot of fun in junior high. One of my favorite memories from junior high was going to the beach in Washington for a week with my family. And it was a great memory because it was the first time I got to see the ocean, and just being able to enjoy that with my family was great. And after graduation this year, we're going back, so I'm really looking forward to that. So my high school, my freshman year, I really liked freshman year and all the new experiences that I got, like winning our division and getting second in state basketball and participating in state music festival and just making a lot of new friends from different schools. My favorite memory from freshman year was all the different basketball tournaments, and now that I'm a senior, basketball tournaments has been a highlight of high school, but this was my first time experiencing it, and being able to be in the state championship was an awesome experience too. And here are my lanyards from state. This one's for my freshman year, my junior year, and this one was our little card we got for senior year. And I went to a lot of concerts this year, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Here's some pictures from basketball from my freshman year and the year I got that year. My sophomore year, it was one of the most fun but challenging years of my life. I played volleyball for the first time, but I wasn't very good at it, but I had a lot of fun, and I really liked the sport, and I had really good teammates. And one of the funnest things about my sophomore year of volleyball was after practice in the summer, we got to a lake that was about 5 miles away from my house, and I spent a lot of time out there when I lived in Winnett, so it was really fun. And this was probably my favorite year of basketball, but it was also one of the hardest. This year I started for the first time, but it was also one of my last my last year of being a Winnett Ram after 16 years of it. And a few days after our first game of the year, my dad passed away from a heart attack after picking me up from practice that night. And that's something typically no 15-year-old has to go through, but obviously you don't get to pick your battles, and God only gives you the ones he knows you can handle. These are some pictures of my dad. This next year was filled with so many changes. My brother and I had to decide who we wanted to live with, and we ended up living with my aunt and her family until we moved to Manhattan. And I had to learn how to live without my dad. I remember a few times during basketball practice, I just remember that my dad wouldn't be home when I got there, and that was really hard to go through. But I really understood after this that God really does have a plan for my life. My dad had a pretty hard life, and he got to go be in heaven with my mom and his parents. And this year, basketball was kind of my saving grace. My teammates were really awesome, and so was my coach. And this year I made it a point to play for my dad, which brought me a lot of joy. And my coach from this year is like family to me and Charlie now. He took us to our first NBA game in Denver, and he also took us boating a lot in the summer, and it just meant a lot to have that relationship, especially after my dad passed away. And one of my favorite things to do growing up was hunting. My dad was big into hunting, and now that he's not here anymore, I'm thankful to have my brothers to still take me hunting, and there's all the animals I've gotten over the years. And here are some more pictures from my sophomore year. There's some pictures from sports and my last day of school in the middle. And this summer I got my first job as a lifeguard, and that was really fun. And I worked with my best friend Maya, and it was a pretty sweet first job. And like I said, this year was hard, but it was filled with so many great memories. I went to a lot of concerts, including a Post Malone concert, which is probably one of my favorite days now ever. And I played on a lot of different summer tournament teams. I played with Park City and Harlow, and I met some of my current best friends playing with them from Manhattan Christian. In Eastern Washington, I played with them in the King of Hill tournament. So yeah, sophomore year was pretty fun, even though it was hard to go through. My junior year, I moved to Manhattan Christian and with my brother and his wife and kids, and it was definitely a big change for me after living in the same small town all my life. And it was also really hard deciding whether to stay in Winnett or move here, but I figured that God put this opportunity in front of me for a reason. And it was good for me to be able to meet new people and just go out of my comfort zone a little bit. Being able to come to Manhattan Christian was a huge blessing as well. And about halfway through my junior season of basketball, I tore my ACL, and that was really hard to go through. And I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was until I went through it myself. It took a big toll on me both mentally and physically. It was really hard to have the game I love so much taken away from me. And it was just, so basketball was always something I'd go to during the hard times, especially like after my dad passed away. So having that escape turned into my hardship was something I really had to adjust to. It was hard watching my teammates play on the court without me, but Mally was also recovering from her surgery during that time, so I'm thankful for that. She helped me through that a lot, and our friendship grew because of all the time we spent together during practice and on the bench. I tore my ACL in last January, and I didn't get surgery till April, so it's been a little over a year now. And this is my knee brace that I wore this basketball season. I really don't like it, and I'm very glad to say that I won't be wearing it again for a long time, and I'm sure Chase is glad he won't have to buy me anymore. But through my knee surgery, I learned the lesson of hard work. I had to go to the gym and physical therapy almost every day this summer in the beginning of this school year in order to get cleared to play my senior season, which I made it all the way through, so I'm very thankful for that. Quarantine and online school is something obviously new for all of us, and I didn't love it or hate it. I'm just glad I had my brother Charlie, or else I probably would have been very bored through it. So my junior year was not ideal, but just because of all the new things I had to adjust to, like the new school and my knee and COVID and all that. But I met a lot of new friends and have a lot of great memories from it. So I'm definitely thankful for my junior year. My senior year has definitely just flown by, and it's crazy that it's pretty much over now. There's nothing too monumental that happened this year, but that's kind of nice after having such a hectic sophomore and junior year. I really didn't like the COVID rules at the beginning of the year, but I'm glad that's all settling down now. And this year's just made me excited for my future next year in college. Next year, I'm planning on going to MSU Billings to get my generals, and I'm really excited for that. I have 2 siblings in Billings, and my grandparents live there, so that'll be nice. So my senior project, at first I was going to have a camp in Winnett, and then I switched it over to having a 3-on-3 tournament here. But 1 or 2 months ago, I found out I wasn't able to have that, so then I kind of had to adjust, and I ended up having a spike ball tournament here during our lunch breaks. And I'm glad I could still get the experience of putting on a tournament just on a smaller scale. So in conclusion, my 18 years of life, I've experienced a lot and learned a lot, but I couldn't have done any of it without God and His guidance. And I'd like to close with another verse. It's Isaiah 41:10. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I'll help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Thank you for coming to listen to my senior presentation.